Okay, party people, what's going on this evening? I want to start on time because I'm tired after the day I had today. I'm gonna let some people try to get on before I start, but I do want to start on time. I'm trying to make sure my stuff is in order. Okay. Okay. Everything's in order. Give people a little bit more time to come on. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is Wednesday, and we are moving right along with February. He's just jogging along. Oh, that tastes so horrible. Oh my God, that tastes horrible. Ooh, I mean, I gotta juice me some cranberries. That tastes horrible. Uh, all right, I don't want to get started too quickly because you know my people, my dear people on Facebook and YouTube, don't want to miss anybody. Don't want to miss anybody. And today is part two of our trauma series. Part two of our trauma series. We're going to be talking about emotional trauma tonight. So the big picture is unheard cries, living with hidden scars and secrets. And tonight we're talking about part two, which is emotional trauma. Part one was physical abuse. Today is emotional trauma. Let me make sure I got all my stuff right. Yeah, I'm right. Unheard cries, living with hidden scars. Part one was physical abuse, and tonight part two is emotional trauma. So come on in, come on in, come on in. I did our midweek check-in. This I did it early actually this week. Well, this today I did it early. I did it like at 2:30, something. That's what I had some time to do it. So I did my midweek check-in, and I just put a red heart up there, which indicated that I am doing great. So if you're doing great this evening, give me some red heart emojis. If you're doing great this evening, red heart emojis. And let's welcome back our people from TikTok. I was having a little problem getting back on with you guys, but I am here. This is TikTok's second week being on the Trap Lounge with me. My name is Kimble Evans. I'm your Trap Therapist. I run a weekly mental health segment trying to debunk and desensitize or destigmatize mental health. So it's kind of like an educational platform, many topics, many subjects. Sometimes I have guests on here, but that's that for TikTok. So again, if you're feeling great, give me some red heart emojis or midweek check-in. If you're feeling great, give me some red heart emojis. If you are doing okay, this is blue. This is not purple. It might show purple on your screen, but this is actually a blue heart emoji. So if you're doing okay, I'm doing okay. Give me some blue heart emojis. If you're doing Bart Simpson, whatever, dude. Give me some yellow heart emojis. Give me some yellow heart emojis. If things are tough and you're struggling, here's the green heart emoji. If things are tough and you're struggling, here is the green heart emoji. Let me know, guys. Send me some DMs because I'll answer each questions. I'll get you through some issues, and I'll point you to the right direction for you to get some type of resources and help. If you're having a hard time and you wouldn't mind if someone was to reach out now, this is purple. Shoot up them purple heart emojis. If you're having a hard time and you wouldn't mind if someone was to reach out to you, This is purple. Give me those purple heart emojis. If you're in a really dark place, this is our broken emoji heart. If you're really in a really dark place, this is our broken emoji heart. I check my DMs frequently every single day, maybe twice a day, to see what's going on. My emails as well. If you're having some harmony and balance in your life, give us some pink heart emojis. If you're having some harmony and balance in your life, give me some pink heart emojis. I was on board with this last week. My game was stepped up. I was doing 3 projects at one time. I was so happy. But the last project, which was our we had a Valentine's Day brunch at the church, Revival Christian Church. It went off beautifully, but that thing kicked my butt. But I'm glad it turned out well. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, give me some orange heart emojis. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, orange heart emojis. And I think last week was my day. Last week. Thank God it's not that way, this midweek check-in. Thank God. God is wondrous, isn't he? If you're having a day like this, here's some brown heart emojis. If you're having a day, we have our days, people. We have our days. Our teens have their days. Our adult children have their days. The elderly have their days. We have our days. So if you're having a day, or if you have had a day like this, because the day is not over yet, so we still got some hours in Wednesday. If you had a day like this, throw some brown heart emojis up there. Brown heart emojis. Now, if you had mixed feelings, you wasn't really feeling anything today, you completed minimal of what you were supposed to have been doing, white heart emojis. Mixed feelings, whatever that might be, and you completed minimum of what you were doing today, which is okay with you because if you completed something, throw them white heart emojis up there. My girl, Miss Carla's not on yet, but if you were feeling cool and self-restraint with a dash, a little dropping of humbleness, give me those great heart emojis. Give me those great heart emojis. If you're feeling relaxed and friendly, here's our light blue heart emoji. If you're feeling relaxed and friendly, here's our light blue heart emojis. Any anger and sadness, we can discuss right now. I drop everything I'm doing, and we can discuss that anger and sadness. Anger and sadness is a really, really emotion, a hard emotion that we try not to tackle. We deal with the anger, the sadness, it goes another way. A lot of people don't want to be emotional and cry and discuss their emotions, but on this show, we do that. So if you're having some anger and sadness, drop them things in the comments and we can talk about what's going on with you so we can process that thing today. And this is our last heart emoji, the flaming heart. We call this frustrated. You're still loving on people. You're still being kind, but you got frustrated today. This is the flaming heart emoji. If you're feeling frustrated, throw some flaming heart emojis up in there today. Okay, guys. Again, I don't want to jump in things too fast, but I tend to do a lot of editing and posting things after these lives. I keep my husband up sometimes. I don't know if he doesn't mind, but I know he minds. So I'm going to try to get through this with our regular time on the clock. So let's get into part 2 of these unheard cries, living with hidden scars. Part 2 is emotional trauma. Hey, Miss Carla. Miss Carla is popping up on our Facebook. We have Facebook here, TikTok and Facebook in the middle, and then we have YouTube on the left. Everybody, good evening, good evening, good evening. So let's get into tonight's topic, which is emotional trauma. And if you would ask yourself, what is emotional trauma? It is the lasting psychological and emotional damage caused by deeply distressing, frightening, or overwhelmed events that exceed an individual's ability to cope. This can be anything, guys, but the damage here is it's distressing, frightening, and it's overwhelmed you. these events and exceeds an individual's ability to cope. It shatters a person's sense of safety and security, leading to feelings of helplessness, fear, and in some cases, long term mental health challenges. Now, last week we talked about depression, we talked about anxiety. Miss Carter threw some great heart emojis up in here. That humbleness, honey, that humbleness. Hi, that humbleness. I felt it this evening. So, emotional trauma, if it's left unprocessed, if it's left untreated, it can be some long term mental health challenges. Now, picture this is it's a single event like a car crash, chronic ongoing events like abuse or neglect, or complex multiple traumatic experiences. So one thing happens after another, after another, after another. And we tend to see that today in 2026. We tend to see that there's a lot of stuff that's happening on social media. There's a lot of stuff happening on the news. There's a lot of stuff happening in people's communities. There's a lot of stuff happening around the world. So we're seeing it on the broadcast news. There's a lot of things happening that can potentially lead to emotional trauma. Now, the emotional trauma is the impact is determined by a person's experience of the event, feeling overwhelmed and isolated, rather than the event itself. So, if you were in a really bad car crash, sometimes you may have anxiety, and if you were the person driving, you may not want to even drive ever again. Or if you think you're okay after you get over maybe getting a new car, getting an adjustment, all that stuff, and you get back in your car, you might not want to start the car. You might start feeling like I can't do this, and it's going to impact your life. So it's overwhelming, it's isolating, and it's not actually the event of what happened because you got through that. It's the after effects. So some common symptoms of emotional trauma is emotional numbness, a protective mechanism where the brain shuts down or limits emotional response to cope with an overwhelming stress like trauma or burnout. Burnout is one of the major things that, again, we tend to not think is a problem. It is because we keep going like the Energizer Bunny. We keep going and going and going and going and going. Guy called in today. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 years. He lost his son to unaliving himself. And he said the family was just wanting to blame him for it. And as he was telling me things that was happening in his life, nothing bad happened in his life after his son passed. He's getting married. He's in school. They're about to purchase a home. But this event, the maternal family doesn't seem to want to let go. I think they want him to feel guilty about it. And the guy said once he came home from being incarcerated, he went directly straight to get his son, and he had his son since then. And this thing happened. And I sat with him and I talked to him. Sometimes you have to cut people off. You have to cut the vine off, and I mean cut it off at the root. We don't want to do that, especially when it's family, blood family. You don't want to do that. But you can't be in a toxic relationship. Not in these days. Again, we're talking about emotional trauma. So feeling flat, having a state of mind that disconnects, you're detached from things. You're watching TV, you may not even remember what you're watching. Your spouse or somebody is talking to you, you don't even remember what they're saying. Hey, Miss Desiree, she said emotional trauma and bad relationships and watching someone, oh wow, watching someone die. That can be traumatic. That can be traumatic. And all of that is complex, multiple traumatic experiences. Thank you for that example. Thank you for that example. So you're unable to enjoy things, or you're unable to experience joy or sadness. You feel like you're on autopilot. And everybody feel like they're on autopilot. Why? It feels like not caring at all. So a common symptom is, someone says, I don't really care. I don't care at all. It's often a sign of deep exhaustion or trauma when something happens. And this tends to be those people that are introverts. They have no feeling. They don't want to be around anybody. They're isolating themselves. They're really shy as people. And I'm going to be talking about this from adult to child. The reason why I'm talking about emotional trauma from adult to child is because adults don't think they have it, but it starts in your childhood. Starts in your childhood. So the spiritual meaning of emotional trauma is numbness. Is sometimes interpreted as a lack of connection to oneself, others, or a lack of connection to God. It's often described as a state of apathy. It may suggest a need to pause and find new ways to connect with your emotions as the spirit or the inner self may be communicating. You ever had that feeling? Hey, Miss Valerie, have you ever had that feeling your spirit man is telling you something and you straight ignoring it, but you're getting pulled to it? Hey, Miss Bird, you're getting pulled to it. So it's a disconnect. That disconnect sometimes is we're questioning God. Why did this happen? Why did you have to let this person die? Why am I going through this? I just went through that. That's that disconnect. You don't know. Your faith is a little bit shaken, and that is okay. Emotional numbness is not permanent, but it is a sign that the nervous system, this is the physical part, guys, needs rest and healing. Think of your nervous system. So when you're going through emotional trauma, with the burnout, with the common symptoms of the flat affect, disconnection, detachment, you can't experience joy or sadness. This is a check sign, that your physical, something in your physical. The main point is that your nervous system needs to rest and it needs to be healed. You'll see this a lot with people that's grieving. They got to keep moving. You got to keep moving. I did that with my dad. I had to keep moving. I had to keep moving until one day I'm on my porch and I don't even know how I got out on my porch. All I know was me and my husband were supposed to be eating dinner. And I'm standing there stuck. And I just start crying. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know where I'm at. So they typically say when you're in your 30s and your 20s that that's the age of major life transitions. 20s and 30s, your early 30s, your early 20s, your 20s is a major life transition. You're trying to identify, formulate, be financially stable, and have career, right? Where you establish those things in your 20s and your 30s. And your 30s and your 40s, there's stress from building those careers and the family and maybe potential loss of loved ones once you're starting to get older. And I read this and I was like, wow, I'm in my 40s, almost in my 50s. And I worked so hard to get where I am. I went to school. Now I got all these student loans. So I'm still having some financial issues. I have a family. All my kids are grown. My career is straight from, going to school, getting this degree. And I'm still stressed a little. So in your 20s and your 30s, you're just really running. And a lot of people that lived on their own in their maybe let's say their late teens to their 20s had to deal with life really hard. I know my niece was like, listen, I don't want to be an adult no more. Y'all told me about these bills, but I didn't think it was that serious. A lot of people that I talk to in their 20s and their early 30s will say, I didn't want to be here. I don't want to pay these bills. I don't want to do this. I don't want to wake up and go to work every day. My parents, I didn't want to be here. And I'm like, well, now that you're here, welcome to the adult life. But let's prioritize the things that you have in control, and let's, try to get some things in order to help you cope with the hardships of life in itself. You not wanting to be here because all these bills are hitting you, jobs are crappy, and the world is going in the west of the wing. So, figuring out who you are, and this is for the 20s and early 30s. When you were a child, your parents were so strict on you. They didn't allow you to do anything. You couldn't hang out with your older friends. You couldn't have boyfriends, girlfriends, none of that stuff. It was just school, and that was it. So once you get in your 20s and your early 30s, you have freedom. You all have freedom. So you leave home, but then you're facing, again, the financial struggles, the bills, the credit cards, because they come after you guys with those credit cards. And the realization that life isn't as easy as it was when you lived with your parents. Burke said, I am in my 60s, almost 70, and it don't stop. Listen, if it stopped, that means you're cold and you're supposed to be going either up there or down there. Life is life, and I love that term. Whoever had made that term up, I'm still using it in 2016. Life is life, and no matter who you are, life is life. So in your mid-20s and your early 30s, you leave home, you have freedom, but you're still facing these financial struggles. And the realization that life isn't easy. Hello. I told my daughter when she was 20, 21, 22, because my youngest daughter moved out when she was 18, straight out of high school. She was gone. She wasn't playing. And we would have our little talks. And I said, baby, you ain't grown just because you moved out. You got your own bills. You ain't grown because you really didn't experience anything yet. You're not grown until you're 25. And now she's 20. Now she's 27, about to be 28. And she understood and still understands what I was talking about. The brain development in your 20s and your 30s is the prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision making, and it isn't fully matured. Do you understand this? Making emotional regulations tough. You see those kids out there that's, again, 19, 20, 21, in some places now in bar, restaurants, or clubs. I don't even know if the club still exists. You have to be 25 and older to get in. Because they're understanding that the prefrontal cortex for responsible decision making, and if you mix that with some spirits, some wine and spirits, it ain't going to go well. So your early 20s, your early 30s, the prefrontal cortex, the decision making is not going to be the best. It's not going to be the best. But they call, and this was strange to me, your 30s, your late 30s, and your 40s is midlife. Now on Erik Erikson's development, that's all the way from 50 to 60, like Miss Burke. Your midlife. Because genitivity, I hope I'm saying that right, is from 70 until you pass, or 60 until you pass. But here it says your midlife from your 30s and your 40s, a little financial stress, higher career. So now you're not at the lower level career anymore. You're at a higher career. You're doing intense parenting. Your kids are not toddlers or tweenies anymore. They're teenagers and almost being adults. And this is a thing that I experienced, the loss and grief experience of death with parents or other elders. This is usually in your late 30s and your 40s. You're losing your grandmothers and your great aunts and your great uncles and all those people. You're losing those people. Now, trauma exposure is from past relational wounds, and it can surface as life complexities increase. That's the things that we did not deal with, or our parents didn't deal with it. Back in the day, I remember going to a counselor down 12th Street, 12th and Locust, I think, somewhere down there, for probably 3 or 4 sessions. And my mom was like, you ain't going to that lady no more. Hey, Glow. So back in maybe 10, 15 years ago, therapy, what? There was no therapy. So being exposed to trauma, those past relationship wounds, they were buried. They were buried. Parents didn't allow their children to go to therapy. And if you did, people of color, if you went to therapy, you were rich. How they go to therapy? Because you didn't know back then that your health insurance paid for it. It still was a health problem back then. It still is a health problem today. But you didn't go to it then. So exposed to trauma and you know, and as a child and now you're an adult, it's the past relational wounds. Remember, these are hidden scars. You don't bury this stuff all the way down. So some events in your life is, you know, living in an unsafe environment as children. We always used to say, my mom left us home by ourselves. Do that today. I think you got to be 13, 14 before you leave any child home. And you can't leave that 13 or 14-year-old home with your little babies, the 6 and the 7-year-olds. You can't. They don't have parental control or a hierarchy over those small babies. Because some of our 6 and 7-year-olds, you know, a little bit more mature than a 14 and 13-year-olds. So leaving your kids home at that age, at that younger age, it was unsafe. They can say some simple things like a natural disaster. Imagine those children in New Orleans that were small, little kids, 7, 8, 9, maybe some babies, because there were some babies. Now those kids are adults. You don't think they have some trauma exposure from Hurricane Katrina? You don't think the people in Jersey, when that hurricane came over here, you don't think they don't have any trauma from that? Kids from that? And that's just a natural disaster. And again, a sudden loss of your loved one. Emotional trauma involves recognizing patterns like intrusive memories, intense emotional reactions, anger, fear, numbness, avoidant behaviors, withdrawing, or either substance use. You're using substances to get away from something, to keep something suppressed. Yeah, Deborah Burke, you get like the bodies rolling down the street. Yeah, and in the water. That, I mean, oh, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. Then they would just show the X's on the house of the people that were still in the homes. I just can't imagine. So hypervigilance, sleep problems, and physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, stomach issues that disrupt your daily life, indicating brain and body are stuck in a stress response from past overwhelming events. Us as adults, again, we keep it moving. Them things that happened back in the day, you keep it moving. I watched on the news today, a lady was walking with her 2 children, and I believe it was a drunk driver almost hit them and ran them over. But God still performed miracles because nothing happened to the children or the mom. But the way that car slammed into it and knocked the little kid over, I'm like, good Lord. You don't think that child is going to have some indications in their mind when they get older? It's in there. It's in there. Unresolved trauma in adults. Listen, guys. It's persistent anxiety. It has relationship difficulties. There are flashbacks. There are problems with sleeping, and there are intrusive memories. These adults feel easily triggered, irritable, or having disproportionate emotional responses. Some feel shame, some feel guilt. These lingering feelings of worthlessness, self-blame, or low self-esteem is unresolved. Now, this was what got me. Control issues. Can anybody think of somebody that may have been through some things in life and they have control issues? And get this word, I use this word a lot, perfectionism. I'm going to raise my hand. Perfectionism. Or they have a strong need to micromanage. Because I never got validated as a child, I was still trying to outdo everybody else. And because I'm a twin, They always put me and my sister in competition. Oh, Kim can dance better than she can. Kim can dress better than she can. Oh, Kim know how to do hair, and Kim know how to do that. And I'm like, I can't catch up. I can't. But y'all not looking at what I'm doing in school. So I didn't get validated. I don't think any of my siblings, if they can go back over their life and analyze some stuff that got validated for anything, like doing good in school, doing your chores. We didn't get an allowance then. Just general stuff that parents congratulate their children on. You will also have people self-sabotage their relationships or their jobs. They have lack of motivation, fear of failure, success, fear of failure, or a fear of success, that they can't do it, or self-destructive habits. They have issues with focus and memory problems, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, or zoning out. I'm procrastinating a lot, guys. I'll tell you. I'm procrastinating an awful lot. And now there's a negative core belief. It's deep-seated in distrust, and then distrust with things in the world. If you ever went to therapy, if you're doing cognitive therapy, they will ask you some questions about what is that core belief. And I mentioned up here feeling worthlessness. You don't feel like you're worth anything. You feel like you're unloved. You can never do anything right. Those are some core beliefs that are, come in your mind all the time. These signs indicate that the nervous system, again, this is the physical part. This is the physical part of the body. The nervous system is stuck in a state of alert, trying to protect you from past dangers, making it hard to feel safe and present in the now. And it's automatic. We don't even know we're doing it. It's automatic. I will tell you, I love my husband to death. He has changed some of the dynamics in our home. And one of those dynamics I don't like is when we go to bed at night, he'll close the door and he'll lock us in the bedroom. I'm like, why are you locking us in the bedroom? Ain't the doors downstairs locked? I don't like to be locked in here. Sometimes I got to go to the bathroom real quick and I open that door and it's not open. But he said he don't want nobody to get the jump on him. Somebody coming in my house, they better hope they get out safe and sound and alive, jump or not. So feeling unsafe in your present from your past. Hey, Lionel. So there are 8 common types of childhood trauma, and they call them the ACEs, ACES, adverse childhood experiences, and this is by the CDC. Abuse, physical or emotional or sexual, neglect, witnessing domestic violence, household dysfunction, that can be parent having mental illness, being untreated, substance abuse, incarceration, or a relative that's getting divorced. It can be school or community violence, natural disasters, and then again, that big one, a loss of loved ones. My grandson, he had, I used to take him to daycare because my daughter was in college. And so I had the opportunity to help raise my grandson. And I would take him to daycare. And the lady that watched him at daycare watched him actually grow up from a small little baby until he was maybe 7 or 6 years old, and she passed away. That was my grandson's first actual experience with death, period. Knowing that, this is final. I'm not going to ever see her again. And he took that really hard. And we didn't know he took it really hard until after my dad passed. And all my grandson did was carry a picture of my dad in his back pocket. No one knew this until he went to therapy. And now he's about to be 15. And he's lost, I believe, 7 people. And so We may look like, and it was so if it was hard for me getting over my dad, and I still struggle with it to this day. Imagine your small kids. You know, death is final, but what does it actually mean to this child? If we take it hard about death being final, and then as what you say, like, hold on, I gotta. You see, guy used to be here from stop. If we take death as being something we're never going to see that person again, how do they compare death? Not seeing that person again ever. All of these things, which can deeply impact the development and well-being, it disrupts a child's sense of safety and again their security, leading to potential long-term effects on mental and physical health. Neglect. I'm just going to name some of these things, define some of these things for you. So neglect is failure to provide for a child's basic needs. And your child basic needs is your physical or emotional. A child basic needs consist of essentials, physical requirements like food, clean water, clothing, safe shelter, and medical care. My girl used to say, as long as you got a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food in your refrigerator, that's all I need to get to you. And she was serious about that. We always had a roof over our head, clothes on our back, and food in the refrigerator. But what she didn't understand, that some people in the silent era, my grandmother's era, she was born in 1938, she's in the silent era, they wasn't supposed to speak, talk, or do anything, because back then there was a lot of racism. There was a lot of things going on that they were half of a human. They didn't see emotional or validation or even love. As long as they took care of you, that was them showing their love. So emotional and social development, you need to have unconditional love, security, and be consistent with routines like play and education. Children still need to be told no. Children still need to be disciplined. A lot of people that grew up in those homes that didn't have any boundaries, no discipline, they are now having problems with their children because they don't know how to really be parents. They get frustrated. Belonging in relationships and friendships and a feeling of care for other people, for others. You also have to have stability and structure, be consistent and predictable in routines, and have firm boundaries. I say this again every year when you go back to school with your kids. Why is your 6 and 7-year-old up at 9 o'clock? Why do they have a bedtime at 9 o'clock? They should be asleep by 9 o'clock. They should be snoring, drool coming down. They should be 6 and 7-year-olds. And even in the summertime, why are they up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning? Your 6 and 7-year-olds. And you wonder why they have a hard time in school listening to the teacher. Again, consistency and routine and firm boundaries. That starts from the beginning in toddlership. Emotional neglect is a relationship pattern often originating in childhood where a caregiver fails to provide adequate emotional support, validation, or affection, leaving an individual's emotional needs consistently ignored. It impacts profoundly their self-esteem. Bedtime is still what, 15 what? Is that what, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock? Understand when you're emotionally neglecting your children, their self-esteem is low. They have low self-worth. They don't feel like they're worthy of anything. They don't feel like they can do anything right. They don't feel like you love them. Nobody loves them. They're incapable of doing things. And this will lead to them having those same feelings as an adult. It leads to difficulties identifying with who they are or identifying with their emotions, forming healthy, trusting relationships. If you're not secure with your parents, you're not going to be secure with anybody else. They give us the old story in our psychology classes: trust versus mistrust. You're trusting your mama. Now, when you're a baby, you cry. You know the mother know the cry from hunger, from the cry from being wet. The mother know the cry from hunger, from the cry from being hurt. The mother know the cry from hunger than the cry of getting attention. Right? So you're trusting your mother. When I'm hungry, she's going to feed me. When I want attention, she's going to play with me. When I'm wet, she's going to change me. When I'm hurt, she's going to kiss my boo-boo. Right? Now, what if a mother wasn't doing all those things for their child, for their baby? They're going to look for it from somebody else. They're going to want it from somebody else. They're going to keep fussing until they get it. And if not, they're going to fuss until they're fully cried themselves asleep. But once they get older, their emotions shift. They don't have trust in people. That's why you're always supposed to say, let me hold your hand. I don't care how old the child is, 9, 10, 11. Let me hold your hand while we cross the street. You don't let go your child's hand at no time. My daughter's 27. Let me hold your hand, Tamara, while we crossing the street. She's like, Mom, stop playing. I'm serious. Do you trust me or not? There's an invisible nature. Unlike physical abuse, it is often defined by what did not happen. A lack of nurturing makes it hard to spot. That's why they say emotional abuse or psychological abuse is hard to detect, or it's hard to prove. Because physical, you can see scars, scrapes, bruises, all those things. But emotional, it's happening up here. It's happening in here. So it's an invisible nature. It's not the physical abuse that you see. Somebody telling if they have an adopted child, your mother didn't love you. That's why you're over here, and we don't really need you either. I had a child that I used to have individual therapy with, and I didn't believe the kid. Like, who would say this to a little child? This girl's 10, 11 years old. Who would say this? Until I spoke to the husband. He was like, yeah, my wife and my daughter, they don't get along. I'm like, why? And the gist of it was the wife didn't have a good relationship with her mother. So and it doesn't make an excuse. The wife was only giving her daughter or her foster child what she got when she was younger. Difficulty understanding or expressing emotions, extreme self-reliance, fear of dependency, and a chronic feeling of being flawed or unlovable. This is what happens when there is some emotional trauma, when there is emotional neglect. This impacts relationships. It struggles. People, older adults, struggle with intimacy, fear of vulnerability, or oversensitivity to rejection. A lot of men won't tell women that they've been hurt by their mother. A lot of men won't tell their wife or their fiance or their girlfriend that their first baby mom hurt them. A lot of men is not going to come out and say that they were sexually molested or abused or raped. But they're not going to trust women either. They're not going to trust women either. I'm not going to go into prevention because I want to get to did I write it down? I did. Okay. So this is talking about prevention. And we're right on time. Okay. Prevention requires cultivating emotional awareness. And that emotional awareness is regularly pausing to identify feelings, labeling your emotions, and the feelings wheel. I have a feelings wheel. I'll post it up. I think I don't want to look through here. I don't think I have it in here. But it's kind of sort of like all of the emoji hearts. They all, remember I talked about this a long time ago. We only identify with mainly 6 distinct feelings: anger, sadness, shame. We only deal with them, but it's so many of them that's out there. If you're a child and you don't know how to say what's wrong, you ask a kid what's wrong, they don't know. I don't know. Are you sad? I don't know. What's the matter, baby? Is your stomach hurt? Are you hungry? I don't know. They can't give you that emotion. So how do you prevent this from when you're a child to when you're in your adulthood? Some people don't know what it feel. The emotion that they're feeling with anger and frustration is all compressed in here. So how do you prevent this as a child, a baby growing up? You have to identify feelings, label emotions. I have a feeling wheel again that I'll let you see. And I always touch base from small to oldest. That's old. When emojis first came out, y'all remember all the circle emojis? When they first came out, it was just circles. Confused, sad, surprised, silly, friend or mad, friend or happy, great, angry, sick, disappointed, proud, and scared. These was all the first emojis that came when they first came out. This is the feelings. This is the feelings. And you have for children, little animals. Little animals. I feel sad, I'm surprised, I'm happy, I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm worried, suspicious, scared, excited, angry, confused, sorry, mean, shy, silly, or content. Well, my kid ain't gonna know what that is. You got to start breaking it down to him. There's another one here. You got me digging in my crates. Let me see if I can get it. It's all about communicating. If your child is having a temper tantrum, don't start yelling at them. What's wrong with you? You done lost your kid. They won't think you yelling at them is a way of communicating. Instead of saying, calm down, let's stop for a moment. Tell me what's going on. What do you feel? What do you wish? What do you think? What do you need? What do you hope? What do you want? As soon as your child starts to identify with words, good words, they can talk. And an adult always say, I'm not going to leave my child no place until they learn how to talk and tell me what's wrong. That's great, but can they tell you how they feel? Can they express their emotions? It's not the feelings one though. This is that's power and control wheel. I probably gave them all away. So again, just simply talking to your children about feelings. How was your day in school? You know, what did you do in school today? What did you learn today? Sometimes we come home and we don't even want to talk because we're tired from, doing things. But I guarantee you on a cell phone, I guarantee you playing some games. I guarantee you can go play somebody in some Madden, but you can't talk to your kids. The one thing I still love about my children is when they come here, of course, everybody's on their cell phone. Everybody's on their cell phone before we eat dinner. But while we're eating dinner, we're talking, we're having a conversation. There's never an awkward pause or moment that someone's not talking when they're here at my house. We grew up that way. I think we grew up around food, but we grew up conversating. What's going on? We was always in our business. A lot of kids now don't want you in their business. You need to be in their business. checking on your kids, checking in with your kids. Because sometimes when you go to school and the school is calling you saying, Sam had, had a knife today, or Sam had a feeling that they wanted to kill themselves. And you're like, my son ain't, what's wrong with my son? What you mean he tried to, because you're not talking to him, mom. You're not checking in with your kids, mom. You're checking in with them when their homework ain't done. You're checking in with them when they're doing something bad in school. But are you checking in with your kids? I wanted to show you all the feelings wheel. I don't have it, but I did download it, so you're gonna see it on my page. Here's another one. How do you feel today? And again, this is with little faces. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm shy, I'm excited, I'm surprised, I'm shy, and embarrassed. Silly, that one, the one in the middle, I'm sorry, that's silly, and I'm embarrassed. 5, 6, 7, they got this one. And I posted these before. I can post them again, or I can send them to you if you would like. Your 5, 6, 7-year-old can use that one because that's a little bit downplay. Your 7 or 9 or 10-year-olds can use this one. And your tweenies can use this one. You're not going to get that much out of your 15, 16-year-old. Your tweenies, they might be a little happy using this one. And this is a deli thing. So when they used to come to me in my therapy sessions, it's from Monday to Sunday. Checking in, how are you feeling? Talking to your kids every day. Your kids are sponges. They look at what you look at. So the feelings will labeling the emotions and identifying their feelings. A child's emotional needs rather than just the physical ones. If your child come home and say, I was in class, I think my arm broke, and that's physical, you want to take them right to the hospital. Or somebody from school is calling, what's wrong with my child? That's the first thing we think. What's wrong with my child? Something physical. That can get fixed. The emotional is more, you need to attend to it because they will grow up feeling like they were isolated, like you abandoned them, like you didn't want them. The guy said today, I don't even think my family side like me. My mom's side don't like me. I said, well, walk into my shoes. Walk into my shoes. You might have those family that, over there in the corner. We still got generational hurt in my family. And the people that hurt them are dead and gone. And they still sticking with it. I'm like, listen, keep that over there. I can't get mad at you for what Aunt Belinda did or Sister Nisi did. I can't get mad at you for them things. They gone now. Can we have a relationship now? Some people will stick with that hurt. And that hurt will go from them to their kids to their grandkids. And the grandkids, you want to stay loyal to your parents. You don't even know what happened. But if I tell you not to talk to them, don't talk to them. You probably only see them at funerals or maybe a family reunion. It's so horrible. It's so horrible. So healing involves recognizing, validating one's own feelings. You can't tell somebody how they feel. Can't. We have to develop emotional literacy. Again, learning to identify and understand and expressing emotions effectively to improve our communication. This can reduce conflict and foster empathy. You can't tell somebody that you did not hurt them. What you can do is accept how they feel and help them through their healing process by saying, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. I'm sorry that you were hurt. Some people want an apology. Some people doesn't even want to apologize for things that they know they've done. So how they want to apologize for things that they didn't do? So you have to seek therapy for these things. It's not going to come. It's not going to come easy. These are deep-seated beliefs of worthlessness. You can't hold on to their pain. It makes you sick, physically and mentally. How do you feel when you were worthless as a child, and then you're a 45, 50-year-old man or woman, you still feel worthless? You done been through a lot of relationships. You probably been to a lot of cities. You done moved from one town to the next town. You done visit different countries. You done had different experiences, and you still feel like you're that 5-year-old or that 10-year-old child in your 50s and 60s. Support, encouraging open communication. I would tell you that my husband didn't like my grandson or my kids asking me questions. Like, why are they questioning you? And I'm like, why not? They got a question, I'm gonna answer it. I don't think that's disrespectful. We couldn't question our parents because it was their way, the highway, or my way. You couldn't question them. Now, I would say sometimes I would ask my kids, what do y'all want for dinner when they were younger? Oh, we want to eat Skittles and chips. What? And because I was an unorthodox parent, okay, here's your big bag of Skittles. Here's your big bag of chips. And I'm eating my rice and my gravy and my chicken, a little Kool-Aid. 7, 8 o'clock come. Mom, we hungry. Y'all had your dinner already. Y'all had your dinner. Y'all wanted some chips and some Skittles. I'm gonna give y'all what y'all asked for. This is a lesson for y'all. The chicken and the rice is mine. You already had your dinner. They didn't like that. So supporting and encouraging your kids with open communication, not in a disrespectful way. If you feel as though your children are challenging you, that's not the open communication and for them to have questions. If you feel as though they're challenging you, validating experiences, recognizing and understanding and accepting another person's thoughts and their feelings and actions as understanding without necessarily, again, agreeing. Do you hear this? Agreeing or approving them. I'm going to say this again. Recognizing and understanding, accepting another person's thoughts, their feelings, and their actions as understanding without necessarily agreeing with or approving their behaviors or their thoughts. If somebody coming to you with something that happened over 15, 20 years ago, and you might not even remember, you still can say, I'm sorry you feel that way. How can I help you get through this? What do you need from me? What can we do to make you feel secure and safer? When you do this, it strengthens the relationship and it reduces emotional tension and builds trust. By making others feel seen and heard, it reflects the feelings. You can say, like, it makes sense that you feel worthless given what happened to you some time ago. That makes sense. Normalize anyone who would feel stressed in the situation. Some people don't think that these kids are stressed. They are. They have a lot going on. They see a lot more than we think they see. If you got kids catching the school bus to school, and I'm talking about your little ones and your teenagers and your tweenies, talk to them. Because remember, we have cell phones. They have cell phones. And you cannot believe what the kids be doing in the back of the school bus, what they watching, what they doing. Remember the choke challenge? You know how many small kids went home and tried this at home and died? Watch your children. Talk to your children. Get up in their business because your mom got up in yours. Validate. Validating it does not fix the problem. Instead of jumping to solutions, acknowledge the difficulty of the experience first. Some people don't want you to fix the problem. They just want to be heard. They want to be heard. There is a distinction from agreement. You can validate someone's emotions. I see you are frustrated without agreeing with their interpretation or their behavior. I see you're frustrated right now. Again, how can I help you? What's going on? Did I trigger you? What can I do to make you feel secure and safe? If it's unidentified in your children, you're going to be unidentified in their adult lives. And those adults are now your 30 and your 20-year-olds. Those are your children and those are your grandchildren. Also, the ones that's the alpha, because my grandson keeps saying, "No, Nene, we good." He's the alpha. He's the alpha generation. He like, we good. We fine. Stop picking on us. It's them Generation Zs. We don't know how to identify with the emotions that hurt, that cut. We bury them. We don't like to talk about it. But just because you forget doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Remember, you'll have those intrusive thoughts, those flashback memories, those dreams. It'll feel like the person you're dating is the same person that hurt you or harmed you. And sometimes you say, why did I pick the same woman? Or why did I pick the same man? So emotional trauma, just because you don't see it, doesn't mean that it didn't happen. You should watch what you say out of here and think up here first. Make sure it's coming from the heart. Old school, my grandma used to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all, she used to say. Don't say nothing at all. So if somebody coming to you saying, listen, we had some issues 5 and 6 years ago. Can we rectify them? Can we sit down and can we talk? And you don't know what they're talking about, you can let them know. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea, but I'm willing to listen. If that conversation gets uncomfortable for you, again, you're not the person that's trying to unravel or unprocess what happened to them. That person is, even if they're blaming you. A lot of parents don't want to listen to their kids. You wasn't there for me when this happened. You wasn't there for me when that happened. Where was you at? I didn't need your money. You don't want to listen to them things. But parenting does not come with a handbook. And when you do the best you can for your kids, once they get older, they see the world differently from their view. Take the time and listen. and validate and understand their emotions, so they don't grow up to be adults that can't handle emotions. We're unstable. Next Wednesday, we'll be talking about sexual trauma. It's going to be very difficult, very hard. But we can get through it. We can get through it. I'm going to be pulling some information from both of my books. This is my story, so I'll probably be reading both 2 letters out of here. Well, no, the other letters in here. So 1 letter out of here, this is the letter to Butch, and a letter out of here, which is the letter to Lois. This is the book with all the trauma, with molestation, incest in here, and this is the healing book. This is what I'm trying to get everybody to get through. 2026 is going to be the year of dealing and healing. The year of dealing and healing. You can't move differently if you still got stuff on your back. If you got stuff to still unpack. God ain't letting you move forward. Because when you're healing, you're forgiving. There's no healing without forgiving. Forgiving yourself if you think there's some self-blame, and forgiving the other person. You can't move forward. God will not bless your mess if you're not forgiving. Steve, what's that? What's that? Sound like something dripping, or he licking water? Oh, okay. So we'll be talking about that next week. Sexual trauma and all those categories that it falls into. Again, I'll be reading the letter out of here and the other letter in here, and going to a little bit more into healing. I'm still trying to get my coworker to come on. Listen, they be busy, honey, and I ain't mad at them. Again, you have to understand this show comes on at 8:30 at night. I don't know if people be sleeping or people don't want to, get down with the get down is okay. But this is the only time on Wednesday that I have that's good for me. So I'm going to still try to get them on. Just give me another 2 weeks. And I just got finished reading the dynamic book, and I don't have it up here to show you guys. And the author of that book is a good mentor of mine. I'll be calling her tomorrow to see if she can come on here and talk about that book. It's a very good book. It's a very, very good book, baby. So I thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. If this subject was hard for you tonight, do some breathing exercises. You can breathe in really deeply, saying, God is my calm, and breathe out, I am safe. Breathe in, God is my calm, and breathe out, I am safe. One more time, deep breath. God is my calm. I am safe. That felt wonderful. Okay, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for joining me on the Trap Lounge. My name is Kimble Evans, and I'm your Trap Therapist. Have a good night, people. Come on. Finish. All right.